the last Olympics, right, wrestling was actually one of the sports with the lowest incidence of injury. Hi, I'm Gabriel. I'm the head coach of Meerkats Wrestling Club, and I'm also one of the operational staff at the Wrestling Federation of Singapore.
The sport and the club that you manage right now are catering for athletes of all ages?
Yeah, so in terms of the participants' age, right, at our club, we have kids that are as young as 4, and then there are adults that are as old as in their 50s too. So we have classes that cater to everyone. Of course, for us, we are more focused on the recreational aspect of the sport. So with teaching kids how to play, how to learn the sport, have fun, develop their fundamental movement skills. Yeah, wrestling is really great for that. And then for the adults, it's more of like as a recreational activity. Yeah, an alternative to like running outside, I guess.
Yeah. What kind of risks are involved? I mean, the training portion, the strength training, all that aside. I mean, the wrestling itself, is it a very injury-prone sport?
I would say that wrestling is a very dynamic sport. There's a lot of movement. But in terms of injury, this is the interesting thing, because wrestling, I mean, people always equate wrestling with dangerous and wrestling. But at the last Olympics, right, wrestling was actually one of the sports with the lowest incidence of injury. Yeah, recorded. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
And that, as professionals, usually they tend to be willing to put themselves more at risk. So like having this statistic, it tells us, actually, it's not true when people say that wrestling is a very dangerous sport. Yeah, the kind of injuries that our athletes do get right, from competing or from training, it's no different from like football or basketball, sprained ankles.
So you hardly ever hear something like a broken bone or something.
Not out of the ordinary. Yeah.
That would be very, very extraordinary
Yeah,
incident.
like I'm a quite injury prone person, but like personally, I actually broke both my wrists when I was 15. But that was when I was playing basketball. Yeah, I've never gotten such serious injuries when I've been wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually quite surprising.
Yeah, I guess one reason is because there's only 2 of you on the wrestling mat. Then there's a referee that's like controlling and eyeing every single movement. Plus, there's no like joint locks or chokes involved, or even striking involved. So that makes it safer as opposed to maybe another sport where you're running at full force and someone can tackle you from different directions.
Yeah. Yes. But it sounds like you'd have to be in reasonable shape before you even think about starting.
If you're thinking of competing in the sport, I would say definitely you need to be in above the average fitness level. In terms of participation in the sport, you will end up with above average fitness, but I don't think that there is an absolute like level of fitness you need to begin with. Well, we found that over time, like as long as participants keep to the training, they do get fit over time. Yeah, and of course the level of activity has to be appropriate, right? So that you don't get hurt, because usually when injuries occur is when you're hurting.
Yeah. What would we need? I guess equipment-wise in order to start. Do we need to buy special shoes or clothing or something like that?
So that's the good thing about wrestling, right? The barriers to entry is really, really low. Our beginners or newcomers, when they first join the club, they just show up in t-shirt and shorts. Yeah, you don't need any special equipment to begin a sport. However, if the participants they decide that they are more serious about pursuing the sport, that's when they will consider like getting wrestling shoes. Yeah, wrestling shoes to wrestlers are kind of like an identity. Yeah. Okay. Because we cannot wear like street shoes onto the wrestling mats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
So the kids would wear normal sneakers onto the mat or go shoeless?
Yeah, so if they're beginners, they will go barefoot. That's absolutely alright. If once they decided, oh, this is a sport that they want to pursue, then we do recommend that they get wrestling shoes. So over at our club, we have because kids, they grow very fast.
Yeah.
So we're lucky that our parents they do pass shoes around like handmade. Yeah. Because the shoes don't get used for a very long time.
Yeah. I imagine it would be very hard to wear them out. It's not like running or anything.
Yeah.
Are there many wrestling clubs in Singapore?
In terms of wrestling, there are about 10 clubs. Most of them are mixed martial arts or grappling clubs that also have wrestling programs.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of the wrestlers in Singapore, they actually do similar sports. Like some of them do participate in judo also. Some of them participate in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So wrestling is like in a way also some of them actually do MMA as well. Actually, a lot of them do MMA, which is why they pick up wrestling. Myself included, actually.
Right.
Yeah, I started from an MMA background.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in terms of why they do wrestling, it's because in MMA we always talk about there's striking and then there's the ground portion, right? The stand up in the ground. But actually wrestling is the bridge between the two. So whether you prefer to fight standing or you prefer to fight on the ground, you kind of need to know how to wrestle. Yeah. To prevent takedowns or to take the person down.
Does that mean that the federation actually creates competitions with all these different clubs?
Yeah. So we have various types of competitions. Well, the last 2 years not much because of COVID.
Yeah.
We were fortunate. We managed to pull off our nationals earlier in March. Last year's nationals, we actually had multiple styles. So outside of Olympic wrestling, there are also associated wrestling styles that are managed by us. So like last year we had grappling, which is a form of like jiu-jitsu. Yeah. That was part of our nationals as well. We also manage Sambo. Sambo is this Russian martial art that's like a hybrid of judo and wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you wear like a gi top and wrestling shorts.
Really?
Tights.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, a lot of people might not know this, but at the last SEA Games in 2019, we got our first gold medalist in Sambo.
Oh.
Yeah. So Sambo is one of the styles. This year at our nationals, we were supposed to incorporate grappling and Sambo as well, but we couldn't because of the logistics involved and the safe management measures.
Imagine it's just to be able to hold it is just already quite an achievement.
Yeah.
So tell us more about the Meerkat Wrestling.
Okay, Nearcast Wrestling was a club that I founded in 2014, end of 2014. So I had the opportunity after the 2013 SEA Games to go to Hungary, where I spent 3 months taking part in the international coaching course for wrestling. So while this was thanks to SNOC. So while I was there, I was exposed to their wrestling culture in Hungary, and I was quite amazed at how the kids were training and their level of movement skills, even at 7 years old, they were able to do backflips and they were very well coordinated. Yeah. So I thought, wow, this is I guess it was going towards the end of my athletic career, and I thought I think this is how I want to be involved in the sport moving on. Yeah. So when I came back to Singapore, I started Nearcast Wrestling Club. People always ask like why we are known as like why Meerkats. So first like for me, like our one of the how do I put this, the objectives, right, of the club firstly was to keep it fun. Yeah, we wanted to focus a lot on fun. So we didn't really want like all the cliche names like lions and like, snakes, you know, cobra, all the fierce names. Yeah, so we thought why not something that is that's more fun, like Meerkat. Yeah. The other thing was that a lot of people don't know that actually meerkats, they look harmless, but they belong to the what's this animal? They belong to the mongoose family. Yeah. So they do have some bite in them, you know. Yeah. And they do wrestle like most animals do.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a nice story.
Sure.
Why do you love wrestling so much?
Wow. Personally, I started wrestling at quite a late age. I mean, as compared to maybe some of my juniors or even my athletes that I coach. I came from mixed martial arts, competitive. Like I started with taekwondo. I came from a combat sports background. Yeah, so I did taekwondo, boxing. I competed in Muay Thai, judo. So yeah. So at the time, I found like MMA really interesting and something I wanted to pursue. That was when I was 16, 17. My friend introduced me to wrestling. He said, "Hey, there's a wrestling club. There's a wrestling movement now in Singapore, like and one of the pioneer MMA gyms here." So let's give it a go, because like I was a fan of some of the MMA fighters like Kid Yamamoto back in the day, and like wow, he's a wrestler and all that. So when I started doing wrestling, we were really fortunate. The first president of the federation brought a really good wrestling coach. He's Sergey Belgazov. He's a 2-time Olympic champion, 6-time world champion. You can see the wall, it's up there. No. yeah. So he and then I remember like fondly, like one of the first times, because at that time there were like a handful of wrestlers in Singapore with 5 or 8 of us. And I remember once I got the opportunity to go with my coach, and then that's when I realized like wow, this is not an easy sport. Yeah, it's like so many levels to the game, right? Yeah, and so I got hooked to wrestling because I found that it's like the toughest, the most challenging sport among like all the combat sports I tried.
Thank you very much, Coach Gabe, for spending the time.